Welcome to World History. Today, we're diving into the fascinating story of England, a nation that has shaped world events for over 1,000 years. From ancient Celtic tribes to the powerful British Empire, this quick journey will guide you through the key moments that defined the country. Stay with us to discover how England transformed from a collection of small kingdoms to one of the world's most influential nations, all in under 10 minutes. Let's get started. England is one of the most important countries in the last 5 centuries of world history. It is located in the northwest of Europe. On an island, it shares with other nations that make up Great Britain. The first inhabitants arrived at the end of the Paleolithic, migrating from Asia Minor. These people were known as the Picts and Scots, who had very different physical characteristics from modern-day English people. At the end of the Bronze Age, the Celts from Gaul arrived in these lands, while in the Iron Age, the Britons settled there. The cultural exchange between these peoples defined the early moments of England's history. However, there were no significant changes in their organization until the arrival of the Roman legions in 55 BC during Rome's imperial expansion. The Romans subdued the British peoples and progressively integrated them into their empire. The Roman arrival was crucial for England as they transformed the British way of life. First, they introduced a slave system, and second, they brought Christianity, which deeply altered the local culture, creating new values in society and decreasing the relevance of military preparation. From the 5th century onward, the Anglo-Saxon peoples invaded the territory, and from them comes the name England, from the Angles. The Angles and Saxons dominated the island for approximately 500 years. However, from the 11th century, invasions became a threat again, this time from the Vikings, Norse warriors who developed an advanced system of ships, giving them a great military advantage over the English. Initially, the Vikings limited their visits to looting English towns, but gradually they began to settle, intending to take control of the land. In 1066, an event occurred that would change England's history. King Edward the Confessor died without leaving a successor, allowing William the Conqueror, Duke of Normandy, to claim the English throne. After winning several battles against other contenders, William crowned himself king, unifying the British monarchy and establishing feudalism in England. However, English feudalism was different from that in the rest of Europe, as the king also assumed the role of a feudal lord. At the end of the 12th century, King Richard the Lionheart joined the Third Crusade, leaving the kingdom in the hands of his brother, John Lackland. John took advantage of his brother's absence to seize the throne, causing distrust throughout the kingdom. To secure his rule, John was forced to give up some of his power to the nobility and clergy, signing the Magna Carta, a document that laid the foundation for the future English Parliament. This body, made up of the nobility and clergy, was fundamental to the development of parliamentary monarchy as it gradually diminished the king's power. In 1337, England and France entered into conflict in the so-called 100 Years' War because France was left without an heir to the throne. King Edward III of England claimed the French throne due to his Norman ancestry. However, his aspirations did not come to fruition, and the war ended with England's defeat and withdrawal from France. After Edward III's reign, a civil war known as the War of the Roses erupted in England, fought between the York and Lancaster families for the throne. This conflict, which lasted approximately 30 years, coincided with the decline of feudalism and the rise of commerce, an increasingly important economic activity. In the 16th century, beyond England, one of the most significant movements of the time, the Protestant Reformation, was taking place in Europe, which divided the Catholic Church. In England, Henry VIII, who had already subdued the nobility, saw in the Reformation an opportunity to break away from the Roman papacy and establish a church under his control. Thus, the Anglican Church was founded, consolidating absolute monarchy in the hands of the king. In the mid-17th century, conflict between the English monarchy and Parliament led to a civil war. King Charles I ruled with absolute power, dissolving Parliament on several occasions. However, Parliament had the support of a rising social class, the bourgeoisie. This conflict culminated in Parliament's victory, Charles I's execution, and the proclamation of Oliver Cromwell as Lord Protector of England. Although the monarchy was restored in 1688 after the overthrow of James II, the triumph of Parliament solidified the foundations of England's modern political system, a parliamentary monarchy in which the king no longer governed, as power was vested in Parliament. From the 18th century onwards, England became the stage for one of the most influential economic revolutions in history, the Industrial Revolution. But why did this revolution take place in England and not elsewhere? In the 16th century, Henry VIII broke with the Catholic Church, which meant that there was no Inquisition in England. Additionally, in the 17th century, when Parliament subdued the monarchy, laws were passed preventing the king from interfering in the economy. Thus, the foundations of political and economic liberalism were laid in England. The Industrial Revolution unfolded in two stages, the first in the mid-18th century with the invention of the loom, and the second in the mid-19th century with the invention of the steam engine. This revolution radically changed English society. Large numbers of people moved from the countryside to cities, transforming from peasants to workers. Production increased, but new problems also arose, such as workdays of 12 to 16 hours for men, women, and children. That's a wrap on the incredible history of England. From invasions and conquests to revolutions and industrial power, England's story is one of resilience and transformation. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And hey, if you want more quick history lessons like this one, follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook for extra content and updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video as we continue exploring the world's history together.